Genesis House and the Friends in Recovery podcast are proud to bring you Answering the Call, the First Responder podcast. Join your hosts, Mike the Podfather and Jersey Ed, as they address the real issues in health and wellness for first responders. From physical and mental health to relationships and work-life balance, we leave no stone unturned. Answering the Call, the First Responder podcast is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube, as well as iHeartRadio. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your friends in recovery answering the call.
Hey everybody, welcome to Answering the Call, the First Responders podcast. Right. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles.
Hello everybody, Jersey Ed here.
And who's that over there, Jersey Ed?
That's Sweets.
Sweets from Sweets Productions and Sweets Podcast Studio.
That's right. A bright lime green colored fucking zoot suit on today.
I'll tell you, this one's hard to wear.
Yes, it's hard
tight.
to look at.
It looks
too.
tight.
It's tight. I don't mean it looks good tight. I mean it is like tight.
I can't tell whether you're happy to see me or if you got an extra pair of socks.
That's
now.
right. That's right. Well, it's all that sugar you haven't been eating from our other podcasts we listen to.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. Michael Collins.
That's
on
right.
Sugar's the Enemy.
That's right. That he could have came on this show too. That's a wellness.
That's right. Hey, I got a question. Does that hat come with the feather? Or did you get that?
No. I got this is a feather I have from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's really long. It's like it's definitely like hanging in front of the computer.
It's almost in the camera over there.
What's that? A red tail hawk feather?
It's a pretty big hat too, so I needed a big feather.
That's a huge brim.
Yes,
That's a huge brim.
Yeah.
Like we said, Huggy Bear last time.
That's right. That's right. You
God.
ever see the movie Shaft? You kind of remind me of Shaft.
That's it.
A white version of Shaft.
Exactly.
White one, yeah.
So, how's everybody doing?
Good. How about you, Sweets? You doing good?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm just happy to be here.
That's
So
it.
nice.
That's it. Happy to be here. That's the way we need to be. Happy to be here.
Let's hope all our first responders out there are doing as well.
Yeah.
You know?
If wherever you're listening, in the car, or in the cruiser, or whatever you're doing
On
at
the
home,
treadmill?
on the treadmill,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Because it's a
right.
wellness.
Doing sit-ups, push-ups.
Hitting a bag in the gym.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Right. We all have our little things that we listen to. I'm the 5 a.m. coffee and Starbucks podcast listener. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the 6:30 oatmeal raisin eating podcast listener.
All right.
Yeah.
And let's guess what you are. The gym guy podcast, right?
I am, yeah.
He's in good shape.
It's a mix of podcasts and trap music.
There you go.
You know, you got to have something to keep you motivated.
Yeah,
you know?
but you know what I notice when I run, I put the podcasts on and I concentrate. You need something to take you out of your mind when you're running long distance. And I look down, I'm like, Jesus, that's an hour already?
Right.
Like the podcast is gone? They help running. So any of you first responders out there, if you run, try to listen to this podcast
yeah,
without
we'll try
laughing.
to keep you motivated.
Yeah.
That's right.
When you're exercising or running. So
When I was a young cop, I used to go to the gym. I used to play racquetball. I used to run. I used to ride a bike. I exercised to get to my exercise. I'd ride a bike to run a track, or ride a bike to the gym, or ride a bike to play tennis or play racquetball. You know, it was just part of who I was, and I got so much out of it. You know, I wasn't a heavy drinker in the early part of my career, you know, until eventually that all ended really quick. But the exercise lasted till I was about 38, 39, and then it just kind of went away.
well, because you let it go away. You
I
can do
guess.
it still. You know what I noticed? I've kind of realized with Chris Cudahy we had on the last couple of shows.
Great guess.
Yeah, he was. He was really good. He made me realize that, and I think he even said it on air. But I'm not 32 years old anymore. I can't run that marathon at 3 hours and 48 minutes or whatever it was, or 42 minutes and 48 seconds. I can't do that anymore. And I just have
nice humble brag. Though.
Yeah, exactly. And 21 seconds.
Yeah.
But I can still do it. I can still do it a different way today.
Yeah,
you know.
right.
And Chris and I had the pleasure to sit at the hotel a little bit and talk a little bit deeper. And we actually planned a canoe or a kayak ride down the entire Delaware River. We're gonna hopefully do that, and I'll keep you guys updated. There's no boundaries out there. There's no limits.
Right.
We limit ourselves.
Right.
And talking to Chris and again, that Tony Robbins, like I said, maybe it was another show I was talking about, but it really opened my mind that there is no limits. That I was deathly afraid to commit to him because he said, "You want to do the Delaware?" I'm like, I don't, whatever. I just kept blowing him off. I thought a 10-mile run was cool every Sunday or whatever. That was good enough for me, but. It made me realize, why not? Why?
Sure.
I'm sitting in a boat. What's the worst that's going to happen? I fall into the water, I have my life jacket on, I get up, and I I do it again. It's going to take us a weekend to do. So if you put your mind to it, and again, this is a health and wellness show, so that's why I'm kind of saying this. Just put your mind to it and do it, dudes.
Sure.
We like to hear. Maybe we can have people email us some of their stuff that they do.
Right.
First responders are
Absolutely.
definitely that type that does
Absolutely.
shit like that. So email us at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com, and it will be flashing across the screen.
Sounds good.
And let us know what you're doing, or send us an email or get us on Facebook, Answering the Call, the First Responders Podcast, and give us a message. So yeah,
I had done a 2-day whitewater rafting trip up in Maine at the Penobscot in the Kennebec River. 2 days of wilderness and most beautiful settings. No humanity around. We had campsites, and there was about 13 of us. We had the best time. Very challenging, scary. I got to admit, it was kind of scary. I've been in helicopters when I was in the service, and that was a little sketchy. And you hear about people dying in helicopter crashes, and I don't know. I never felt comfortable, but the whitewater rafting, just as challenging and scary as it was just a memorable time.
yeah.
So I can imagine being in a kayak could be a little different, though.
Well, I think water just is a soothing kind of, just a soothing to be around. It's very dangerous. There's actually we're reading about the hazards and all kinds of. I mean, I started reading this stuff. I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. I was like, fuck that, I'm doing it. As long as we take the precautions and we respect the water, and understand it and what it could do to us, but it also could help us finish a goal that we brought upon ourselves. And Sweets, I like what you said. Set your goal so high it scares you. That's such a. I was like, I'm gonna get that fucking tattooed on me somewhere. It's so cool.
Keeps
It's
you motivated.
yeah,
Keeps you
it does,
yeah.
man. It just
right on his face. What are you talking about? Get a nice tattoo. He's got one spot left right on his face.
That's right. I wear these long sleeve shirts so you can't see him.
Get you some face tats.
That's it.
He changes his shirt. It reminds me of Marvel Comics. I can't help it.
Oh yeah, that's right. You still got the same clothes on from last week.
I
Mike.
just wear the same outfit.
But
save a lot of money.
He has his lime green suit on though.
My suit
Sweets
changes
has it.
every week,
It
every
does.
episode.
It does, absolutely. So.
That's right. Well, I like to wear the. This is the standard old man clothes: the
There
gray
you go.
sweater with the blue shirt. and
That's it.
a little V-neck T-shirt.
There you go.
There you
Look
go.
at that. Ah, he's showing some chest there.
Keep you clean.
Yeah.
That's right. I look good for 80. I feel good.
The ladies, Mike's married, so
Yep.
back off and just
Sorry.
flash some chest there.
That's
So
right. That's right. Calm down.
You were talking about going to the gym earlier, and I was just thinking about how like when you go to the grocery store and stuff like that, and you look for a parking space. Which parking space do you look for?
Right.
The one closest to the store, right? You don't want to walk a lot.
Yeah.
And when I go to the gym, I know I'm going to the gym prepared to do like an hour or 2 hour workout, and I'm crazy, and I'm still looking for the parking space closest to it. Like if they had an escalator up the stairs, I'd probably take that too.
No, I think exercise definitely not only good for you physically, but mentally and emotionally. When you're in a high-stress job, and not just being a cop or a fireman or a correctional officer, EMS, high-stress job, if you can exercise 20 minutes a day, even if it's a brisk walk, I find that it really clears my head.
well, why even start at 20 minutes a day? Start 5 minutes a day. Why set why set it so high? Some people out there may not be able to do that. They might not be able to.
Right.
I set my exercise time away anywhere between depending on the day, half hour to an hour a day. And some days I'm off, but that's me. I've been doing this for the last 26 years. Sweets, you've been doing it for God knows how long. So even if you guys are out there trying to do something or get something together, any goal, though, you shouldn't set that high. I mean, I like that saying because that's my, what you said, Sweets, about the set goal so high that makes you afraid. Some people might not be able to do that. Let's be serious. They might need the little baby steps. You got somebody.
Well, no, at every turn you're challenging yourself. So let's say you
Exactly.
started at 5 minutes, the next goal is 10, even
There
though
you
you
go.
couldn't imagine doing 10. Like
That's
you have
right.
to keep challenging
Yeah.
yourself because if you don't grow. You
Exactly.
Just I just do 5 minutes a day and I'm fine.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to set it higher.
Yeah,
I-
absolutely.
I teach some of my clients relaxation techniques, and I've been to different classes, taking classes for CEUs, and I've learned a lot. But my youngest daughter had told me about this breathing exercise, and it takes about 3 minutes, and you can do it multiple times a day. And I got to tell you, it really puts me in a space where I can accept everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not overwhelmed.
Yep.
I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not confused. I'm not anxious. I'm not, thinking past where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
So I think mental exercise sometimes is good for us.
Yeah, that's still a workout too. I also try to read half hour a day at least. Something that I've been doing lately, and it's been helping too. Reading. You have to exercise your mind too, not just your body. You have to exercise your mind.
Mind, body, soul.
Yeah, and then the soul with the meditating. You can dig down deep. Meditating's hard. I mean, I try to do it for 10 minutes a day.
Yep.
And my mind just wanders, and that Calm app again. Calm, if you want to sponsor us, get a hold of us at help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com.
That's right.
We'd be more than happy to have you as a sponsor. But anyways, the Calm app is really good. First of all, for all your first responders, you should really look at it, and it guides you through the meditation. And even to halfway through the 10-minute meditation, that's all I can do right now. They come on and say, your mind is probably wandering. That's okay. People who've done it years and years, their mind still wanders. Just focus and bring it back.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty cool, because here I am. I'm like, I can't do this, and it's not that I can't do it. It's just what happens when you sit quiet, your mind does wander. So hopefully that'll get less and less as I do it. But that's another part of keeping physically, mentally, and spiritually fit.
Yeah. This breathing, basically what it is you take a deep breath slowly for 7 seconds in, hold it for 7 seconds, let it out for 7 seconds, and you do that multiple times, slowly. Don't hyperventilate. For 3 minutes. 3 minutes seems like 30 minutes because you do it. But I got to tell you, the oxygen intake that goes to the brain and the lungs definitely has a huge part of it. But it's such a calming effect. And your blood pressure. When you're in a high stress job where you can go from A to Z in a split second, you can be eating a sandwich or a salad, and all of a sudden you get a call. You got to run out the door, and you got to go to a horrific scene. You really need to understand that you really need to care for yourself, whether it's, I had to run up 13 flights of stairs one time. His girlfriend shot him, and the elevator was full of everybody else, the chief, the medical examiner. And when I saw everybody in the elevator, I said, well, I got to use the stairs. And I made it up 13 flights of stairs, and I was at the top of the stairs as the elevator was coming to a stop, and I thought, wow. That was amazing. But I got to tell you, I paid the price. My legs were killing me. I was seeing Tweety birds, and I thought I was going to pass out.
Fuck, I run marathons, and I have a hard time walking up. Steps are tough, man. Steps are on an angle that you're not normally going up, and that's why I always take the steps whenever I could. I try to find
Weirdo.
I am one of those guys. I'll tell you a quick story.
Yeah, I'll meet you up there.
Yeah, exactly. So I torture my wife, right? And this is for some of you first responders. You can do this to your wife too if you go to a hotel. So we go to this hotel in Cape May, New Jersey. It's called the Congress Hall, and it's a gorgeous old Victorian hotel. And when we go in for the weekend, obviously we have our bags, we have whatever, and we take the elevator up. It's only four flights of steps, and so we take the elevator up. And my rule is once your bags are in the room, you use the steps to go up and down. Now they're gorgeous steps. They're something that you can see, in old Victorian times. So it's a nice walk up and down the steps. But I torture these two poor ladies that every time we go to this hotel, they have to walk up and down the steps the whole weekend, except for when we come in and when we leave with our bags. So, but they're troopers about it. Yeah. So, but it's all that little stuff that we equal. We talk about the drop in a bucket with PTSD and this and that and overflows, but this is how you combat that, with all these little things like that,
That's right.
It helps.
If you don't take care of yourself, nobody else is going to,
Yeah, and also internally too, drink water. That helps.
Right.
I mean, water's so important. Alkaline alkalize your body. Get some lemons and fruits and vegetables in it, and keep it healthy inside. Fish oil, that all helps also,
Right. Yeah, supplements are really useful, and I think when you're in a job where you work 8 hours, you really don't have a lunch hour. And I used to pound food down. That's how I lost 40 pounds. When I retired, I lost all that weight because I wasn't eating the pizza, the subs, the Chinese food, the fast food. I got away from it. And what a good feeling.
Oh, yeah.
What a good feeling to be able to go up and down stairs without breathing heavy.
It's only good for you. And some of the first responders, you guys can do this without retiring. You can do it right now. And like Sweet said before with his set of goals that it scares you. That goal might be just maybe not eating a candy bar for the day. Would it scare the shit out of you? Yeah, because maybe you're used to eating that candy bar at a certain time. It soothes your mind and your body and your feelings for whatever you're craving. So maybe don't eat that that candy bar for the time. So
hey, Sweets, I love that hat. Jeez, I can't get my eyes off it. That lime
can't
green
open
hat
my
with
eyes.
the big brim on it. Hey, what do you think of what we're talking about? You know, the mental exercise, the physical exercise.
I got a lot to say about that. Why don't we talk about it after the break?
Sounds
That's a great
good.
idea.
Love it.
That's right. Answering the call, the First Responders Podcast.
Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. The First Responder Recovery Program at Genesis House is led by a doctorate-level therapist with direct professional experience as a first responder himself. Treatment modalities focus on psychiatric care, relapse prevention, stress management, and trauma-informed care for PTSD. Learn why their individualized approach makes a difference for first responders. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Answering the call.
First Responders Podcast.
That's correct. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles.
And I am Jersey Ed. And welcome back from the break there, Mike.
Yes.
That was a long break. You forgot what we were doing.
Yeah, what the heck, man? What did we take, like 2-hour break? I mean,
That was a long commercial, guys.
the place is on fire or some shit.
My head is all smoky.
Oh, God. Well, we like to, first of all, thank Genesis House for to do some business here. Thank Genesis House for answering the call of the First Responders Podcast. And without them, of course, we can't do this, as we always say. And also, we like to thank the First Responders community also. Answering the Call of the First Responders Podcast is powered by your likes, follows, subscribes, and shares. Do us a favor and leave a 5-star review, right, Sweets?
Yeah, we'll put all the stars up there for you to
That's
see.
right.
Just
That's
in case
it.
you don't know what you're doing,
That's
there
right.
should be 5 stars above his head right
See
now.
that? Right there. All right. And now it's time for the Jersey Ed podcast pick of the week. So my podcast pick of the week is Life Givers, a military and first responders family podcast. Host is Corey Weathers. Life Givers aims to be a positive place where military and first responders couples can express positive clinical advice on topics that are unique to their culture. It's pretty cool. It's a woman. Kind of, she's a clinical. I believe she's clinical. I don't know her credentials, but Corey kind of talks about couples, and I'm sure there's probably a lot of worrying, a lot of different things that you have to worry about being a first responder, and we know, especially in the corrections communities, the divorce rate is very high.
Sure. And in this case, he's a veteran, and if you're married to a veteran or you're involved with a veteran in a relationship, you're going through the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the Jersey Ed's podcast pick of the week. So
nice job. You always do a good job picking the Jersey Ed's podcast pick of the week.
I'm going to get creative with them, I think, because I'm always giving like first responders, or on our other show that I'm going to find some different ones for everybody out there just to listen out of the blue. I think I'm just going to do that. What do you guys think?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
There's one out there called The Other Stuff. I think they do some
The other stuff. Yeah,
that one's just fun.
That is fun. Yeah, we'll try that one.
Yeah, hey, maybe that could be the pick of the week.
That could be the pick of the week next week. So, God.
Super.
Anyway, so we were talking
Welcome
about health and wellness and all that stuff, but I think we wanted to touch something a little bit serious. The line of duty deaths.
Yep. Just recently, 2 officers were killed simultaneously within 24 hours of each other. There was an officer from Palm Beach, Florida. Yep, state trooper. He was killed. He stopped. There was a motorist stranded. He stopped to help him, and the guy shot him to death. And fortunately, a police officer driving by stopped to assist, and he ended up shooting the suspect to death, which is a win for me, and most of us. But unfortunately, that poor officer left a couple of children, a wife, and he pulled over to help the guy. And the other one was in Alabama. It was I'm sorry, I can't think of the name of the town, but he was a young officer as well. He only had 9 years experience as a police officer. It was just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And that was just within 24 hours of each
Well,
other.
when you listen to it, it'll be a couple weeks ago because this show will be a little bit deeper in. So
yeah.
Well,
anyway, it was what I said was it was in 24 hours of each other. And, I think that's just telling you people are being killed in law enforcement at a breakneck speed.
Yeah.
It's very alarming.
Yeah. Well, here's some statistics. As of this year, line of duty deaths 15. Yeah. 911 related illnesses 1, automobile crash 1, gunfire 6, heart attack 1, motorcycle crash 1, struck by a vehicle 2, vehicle pursuit 1, and vehicle assault 2.
Right.
That was January was 12, and up until February there's 3 as of today's date. So.
And I can reassure you, or not reassure you, but I can assure you that there are some officers that probably took their own lives that they're not on those statistics.
Well, this is just line of duty death.
Right.
That's all this is. And this is actually a good website, guys. So it's called Officer Down Memorial Page. Right. And they list all the officers that were killed, lost their life in the line of duty. Not the suicides. That's Karen Solomon's Blue Help. You can get those statistics from. So, but and then it goes and lists how many males, how many females. 11 males, 4 females. Average age is 36. Average tour of duty 9 months. And then what else? And then it just lists the states that they were killed in. So I know it's a tough subject to talk about, but that goes hand in hand with wellness. We have to. You don't know when your last day of life is going to be. None of us do. There could be a fire here. The place could fill up with smoke, and we all can drop dead.
That could happen.
It could happen.
Sure.
But you never know. And I listened to this guy Jesse Itzler. He's a kind of a motivational guy. I listened to him, and he says that you jump on the bus when you're born, and the bus goes. It doesn't stop. It just keeps going, going, going. We don't know when that bus is going to stop.
Right.
Again, and obviously that'll be the day of your death. So I think you need to live your life as full as possible, doing all this healthy stuff. Listen to this podcast, maybe helping your family grow, and maybe if you have some issues or whatever, don't take life for granted. Is basically what we're saying. Take. At the beginning of the show, we were talking about the healthy stuff. Take that into consideration and live life to its fullest.
Yeah, it's not always. It sounds great in retrospect, but it's not always that way. Especially, I think when you're involved in law enforcement and you go to work, you might have stuff left over from the night before that you have to take care of. All of a sudden, you're involved in a high-speed chase. Now you have something new you have to take care of. You can get backloaded. Your own personal lives sometimes they really pay the price. Relationships pay the price. Being a cop is not just going to work 9 to 5. It entails going to court for court dates, for arrests you made, for trials you have to testify at, for evidence you have to bring into court and sign out. I mean, there's so much more to it. And then earlier we had talked about being in the community, and how do your neighbors look at you? How do people look at you that know you're a cop? Are they friendly with you? Are they not friendly? Do they treat you differently? I would say that in my career, I was treated differently many times, not always in a bad way, but there are some people that just don't like authority. They don't like police officers.
Well, and I mean, you guys, you're talking about the health and wellness of an officer, and I think we had a guest on here, a woman, Beverly. And
Beverly Anderson. Hi, Bev.
we were talking about how this stuff gets built up. It's layered. I mean, these things don't just happen in a vacuum. It's not one day all this stuff happened. It's this stuff builds up.
Yeah.
Like you were talking, Mike. You can't, Podfather. You can't take the it does sound good to just kind of live your best life and do that stuff, but as an officer or as a first responder, I imagine that all these things they're layered. You can't just take off the emotion of your regular life and then put on your uniform and everything's fine. It comes with you. You could be distracted. You could be, if you're not taking care of your mental health or your overall well-being, you bring everything to work with you.
Sure.
And as well as bring everything home too. Sure. Sometimes.
Several years ago in Lowell, Massachusetts, there was a tenant multi-dwelling fire. 5 people succumbed. It was a family that succumbed to the flames. The fire station that responded was literally, now listen to this stat, was literally 100 yards away. 100 yards. They were basically one building
Football field.
was next to the other building with one building in an empty lot separating them. Those firemen had a tremendous amount of guilt and remorse because there were 5 casualties. 5 people succumbed to the fire. But in retrospect, what actually happened, the fire was going well before the firemen got the call, number one. And number two, by the time they got there and set up, as you know, smoke can overcome you so quickly. You don't even have if you don't have the instinct to get on the ground and stay down where the oxygen is, you're breathing carbon dioxide that is so powerful that 2 breaths and that's it. You can be out cold. You're on your way to death. So those people died pretty quickly, but the firemen that were left as a result of this, that had to live and still have to live with the remembrance of what they experienced that night. Believe me, it can't be good for them. It's just hard to go to work the next day and act like nothing happened.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I mean that's. I couldn't imagine a job doing that. I mean, our field suites is kind of like that. You talk to a client on the phone one day, and next day, you hear they die of an overdose, and so we don't. We're not kind of. It's a little different, but it's still
very similar.
It's still very tough, similar. And I remember my first years, 25 years ago. Everybody had, I think, it was again, this is civilian talk, but I was working for a counseling center, and I got the call that a friend of mine ended up ODing. Now that was very rare back, 26 years ago. Right. It's unfortunately it happens on a daily basis now, probably more than that. But so I can just imagine hearing one of your first responders friends or your partner or the guy who you knew, succumb to one of these, lists that I just read off of here.
Right. Yeah, and then if you add suicide too, I mean, which it doesn't sound as heroic. People might look at it differently with a jaded eye because they think, well, that's what that person decided, but. Believe me, suicide, people say cowards commit suicide, and other people say that you had to be brave to do that. I don't know where it lies in between. All I know is that when you commit suicide, the people you leave behind are going to suffer every day the rest of their lives.
Oh, yeah. Yep, absolutely. So
every day.
Oh, yeah. And that's something you have to think about. I mean, suicide's the other half of this, that's the other piece of this that we have to kind of look at. I mean, Mike, you are Podfather. You went to a job every day. Maybe you might have been a statistic. That's a pretty tough job to do. And I don't, you guys out there who are doing this, and I'm talking about every first responder out there is kind of in this ballpark that you might not come home one day. Yeah. Did you ever think that
never.
way?
It's funny. I never went to work thinking that this could be it. I just that just was the furthest thing from my mind. However, I've been shot at, I've been hit, I've been kicked, I've been punched, I've been clubbed, bottle broken over my head. I've looked back and reflected and said, wow, I was lucky I didn't die. I was lucky that bullet didn't hit me. That went whizzing by my head when I was chasing a guy and he shot over his shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's well, that's where the PTSD comes in and all that, and why wasn't it me? Why was the other guy? It's just I can imagine just what the mind fuck you would go through and end up getting a lot of mental health issues over something like that too. I mean, I could see that easily.
Sure, and you read some of these. I've read them. Some of these books on the Holocaust and some of these death camps and concentration camps, where the survivors had the survivor's remorse. Because it could have been them.
Yeah.
I was reading an obituary on one of the actors. It was. Excuse me, I can't think of his name right now, but he was a survivor from the Holocaust, and he became an actor, and he lost out of his family of 12. Out of his family of 13, he was the only survivor. Actually, he's still alive. His name is he's 93 years old. Robert Clary. He played LeBeau on Hogan's Heroes.
Oh yeah.
He's 93. He's still alive.
Wow. But
his family ended up in 3 different concentration camps in Nazi Germany, and he was the only survivor. And he went in young.
Yeah.
He used to sing He used to sing for the troops when he was 11, every other week. And the Nazis, and he was so young, he didn't realize the severity of what was going on. But he came from a musical family, and he entertained these Nazi animals. It's
so sad what happened over there. I mean, that's definitely sad, but But back to the back to the first responder stuff and all these statistics. It's something that we can't take lightly. Unfortunately, it's February, early March, whenever the show is going to air, and these numbers are unfortunately going to go up.
Well, that's a fact.
Unfortunately, careless things that go on. The one I was reading, where was it? Vehicle pursuit. Now that's just a useless death there.
Yep.
A vehicle pursuit.
Yep.
Stop. Just fucking stop, pull over, and pay your dues, man. That's what you got to do. Not only is the officer's life in jeopardy, other civilians walking across the street. That could be your daughter out there. That could be your son, your mom, your dad, your wife, just crossing the road just to get into the store. And next thing you know, you're dead because some fucking guy just wanted to run away. I mean, people don't think so. It's a tough situation. I know we started off this show with happiness and wellness, and we ended up with death and destruction. But that's what can happen.
That goes with the territory.
It does.
With any of these jobs.
Yeah. And that's, you can walk into work one day, be happy, and you just got back from the gym, and next thing you know, you're at your partner's funeral.
That poor officer from Virginia, Officer Fine, 24 years old, just got engaged, 2-year-old child. A police officer, 9 months, stops a car. Guy drags her to her death. I mean, she had so much going for her that it's just awful. But hey, this has been a good show. I hope it's brought some awareness and some.
Well, that's what we want to do: bring up awareness. Definitely,
good information for the officers and for the correctional officers and the veterans and the EMS workers. And
real quick, EMS. Brian Casey gave me a call last night, and he said he listened to our show with Jeff Zazell on it, and Jeff called them EMTs.
Yeah.
And Brian goes, calling an EMS worker is like calling a cop a security guard.
Yeah. Good for
so
him.
Brian, there you go. So we're gonna correct Jeff on that one.
We love Brian Casey.
We do. Brian Casey.
We've had some great guests on the show, haven't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, Brian. He might be coming to Boston real soon.
Nice.
He said he'll come up to the podcast. Nice. He'll do a couple podcasts with us, and look for me on his show. What was his show again? Do you get me? Remember that?
Nope.
Anyways, I'll get it out to you. It's in one of our past shows.
The name of his book is
Talk.
Good Cop, Good Cop.
Yeah,
that's a great book.
Good Cop, Good Cop.
You want to read something?
Yeah, Cop Talk is the name of his show.
Yep.
So in the next couple of weeks, I'll be on that show. So look for that too. So.
Oh, Jersey Ed, great show.
Absolutely, there, Podfather.
Yep.
Sweets, good job over there.
Thank you, sir.
As always.
Yep. And
we'll talk to you soon.
Stay safe, everybody.
That concludes this episode of Answering the Call, the First Responder Podcast. Thanks to Genesis House for sponsoring the show and supporting first responders who are struggling with addiction and mental health. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, email us at help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com.